Lena had only been in the flat for 3 days, but something about it refused to settle. It wasn't obvious, nothing she could point at or explain, but the air always felt heavier than it should, like the room was quietly holding something in. Even with the windows open, even with the faint sounds of the street below, the space never felt empty. Callum noticed it too, though he tried to brush it off, tapping his fingers against the table like he was trying to distract himself from a thought he didn't want to finish. Every now and then, his eyes drifted toward the hallway without reason. Lena laughed it off at first, told herself it was just a new place, unfamiliar walls, unfamiliar silence. But as the evening stretched on, that silence didn't feel normal, it felt occupied. Not loud. Not visible. Just full. As if something unseen had already made itself comfortable there long before they arrived. It started with things that were easy to dismiss. A mug she distinctly remembered leaving in the sink appeared dry on the counter. Her coat, which she had hung neatly, now leaned at an angle, as if someone had brushed past it in a hurry. None of it was dramatic, nothing broken or missing, just small, quiet changes that made her pause for a second longer than she should. Callum insisted it was nothing, but he stopped moving around the flat as freely as he had before. He began checking rooms without thinking, glancing behind doors, standing still in the hallway as if listening for something just out of reach. That night, while sitting together in silence, Lena felt it again, that strange awareness pressing against her, like someone standing just behind her shoulder, close enough to feel, but impossible to prove. And for the first time, she didn't turn around. The third plate shouldn't have been there. Lena was certain of it. She had taken 2 from the cupboard, placed them side by side, even adjusted their positions out of habit. But when she came back to the table, there it was, perfectly aligned between them, as if it had always belonged. Callum swore he hadn't touched anything, and the way he said it, too quickly, too firmly, made it clear he was just as unsettled. Neither of them laughed this time. Neither of them reached out to move it. They sat down anyway, eating slowly, deliberately avoiding looking at that third space. But the feeling was unmistakable now. It wasn't just the room anymore. It was the table. The space between them. The quiet, patient sense that something else was sitting there too, silent, still, and aware of both of them. Sleep didn't come easily that night. When Lena finally drifted off, it wasn't deep, it was the kind of sleep that breaks at the smallest disturbance. So when the sound came, she heard it immediately. A soft shift. Then another. Slow, careful movement across the floor, like someone deliberately trying not to be noticed. Her eyes opened, and she held her breath, listening as the faint creak of the floorboards approached her door, and stopped. Right there. Just outside. She whispered Callum's name, barely louder than the sound of her own breathing. Nothing answered. After a long moment, she forced herself up and opened the door. The hallway was empty, completely still. But the air felt wrong, warmer, disturbed, like something had just moved through it. Seconds before she looked, the photo changed everything. Lena didn't remember taking it, didn't even remember waking up, but there it was on her phone, time-stamped in the middle of the night. The hallway outside her room, captured in dim light. At first glance, it looked empty. But the longer she stared, the more her eyes adjusted, the more something began to take shape. Not clear. Not defined. Just there. A darker presence against the darkness. Standing close to her door. Callum's reaction said enough. He didn't question it, didn't try to explain it away. He just stared, his expression tightening as if he had finally reached the same conclusion she had been avoiding. This wasn't random. This wasn't imagination. Whatever was in that flat wasn't just being noticed, it was beginning to be seen. After that, silence became something they feared. They filled the flat with noise, TV, music, anything to avoid those long, empty stretches where the air seemed to press in on them. And slowly, they realized something. The feeling was weaker when there was sound. Distant. Almost absent. But the moment everything went quiet, it came back, stronger, closer, more defined. It wasn't just a presence. It was reactive. Aware. Waiting. Then the power went out. Just like that. No warning. No sound. The flat dropped into complete silence. And instantly, Lena felt it, right behind her. Not across the room. Not somewhere else. Close. So close she didn't need to turn around to know exactly where it was standing. Her body went rigid, every instinct screaming not to move, not to react, not to acknowledge it. Because somehow, she knew. It moved when they didn't. Lena didn't sleep after that. She sat upright on her bed, lights on, eyes fixed ahead, refusing to give it even a second of inattention. Callum stayed in the doorway, equally still, as if stepping further into the room would bring him too close to something neither of them could see. Hours passed. Nothing happened. The tension stretched thin, slowly replaced by exhaustion, by that dangerous sense that maybe, just maybe, it had stopped. Lena's eyes burned. Her focus slipped. Just for a moment. A single blink, and in that instant, everything changed. The room didn't feel watched anymore. It felt shared. Not somewhere else in the flat. Not waiting in the hallway. Here. Close. Closer than before. And the worst part, the part that settled deep in her chest and refused to leave, was the realization that it hadn't just moved. It had been waiting for that exact moment. So ask yourself, right now, as you sit there, reading this. How long has it been since you last blinked?